Hello, guys, and welcome back to another interesting tactical breakdown in Arsenal's defeat against PSG. This was quite a remarkable game filled with a lot of intricate tactical movements from the manager that they made throughout the game. Now, one thing that a lot of fans identified in this game is how, especially in the first half, PSG managed to open up Arsenal quite easily. How Dembele used to pick the ball in between the lines, how Arsenal's press was made to look disjointed. But a 20-minute change by Mikel Arteta turned the game for Arsenal, when we actually saw now Arsenal, the expected goals actually increased while the expected goals of PSG decreased, and we started to see Arsenal gaining some momentum in the game.
Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Now let's proceed. You know, one thing about Luis Enrique is that he's one of the managers who really understands positional play. And the way he set up PSG was something of a surprise that even Arsenal Football Club were unable to counter. Now let's look at PSG in possession. Let's understand what PSG did that made them so different from Arsenal and what gave them the competitive edge over Arsenal. Now looking at this clip, you automatically notice that whenever PSG were looking to build from the back, Arsenal wanted to press them aggressively high. Arsenal were at home and Arsenal fancied themselves as one of the best pressing teams in Europe. So Arsenal engaged in that. Now what happened in this situation is that now, when Arsenal were looking to press PSG aggressively high, Arsenal committed a lot of players in this press. PSG started building with a back three with the left back tucking in while Hakimi pushing forward and hugging the touchline almost like a right winger. Vitinha was the one who was dropping deep as PSG were looking to create this diamond. And Arsenal were being drawn to the press while PSG's main intention was to overload Arsenal's backline. Now what we notice is that the other two midfielders were looking to spread out wide, dragging Merino and Declan Rice apart, allowing Dembele to drop in between the lines and receive the ball. And Dembele would carry the ball forward in this situation and actually look to progress with the ball, as you can see in the following clips. Here, PSG are looking to play from the back, Arsenal are looking to press, but Arsenal are pressing in a 4-4-2 structure. Now, here the left back has the ball, but he can spot Dembele who's dropping deep, and Saliba who was afraid of actually going to pull to pick up Dembele because spaces would open up. Here again, PSG are building up. Arsenal have committed players to press them, and here you can see Arsenal's midfielder are pressing PSG's midfielder. Arsenal midfielders go for PSG. And now Dembele drops from the number 9 position, goes to midfield and receives the ball quite easily. This constant movement by Dembele and him not being picked always ensured that PSG had an extra man in possession, and this created a lot of problems for Arsenal. Now when Dembele will receive the ball in this situation and now be engaged by Saliba, he could just shift the ball out wide, especially towards the left hand side for the runs of Kvaratskhelia. And because the left winger was so deadly, it had Timber now to shift across and try to deal with him. And this is where PSG scored their first goal. Then the left winger is able to play the ball back to Dembele. Dembele is able to shoot the ball and actually have PSG go 1-0 up. As you can see, Dembele has the ball, then he passes the ball onto the left winger, then the left winger is able to receive the ball. He's able to have the ball in that left half space position, make a cutback for Dembele and have Dembele actually score the first goal for PSG. Because of the danger that Kvaratskhelia was causing in the left wing, Arsenal had to adapt. And Arsenal had to adapt this way by stopping PSG from building up initially. Now when PSG were in deeper phases and they looked to use Donnarumma during build-up, what we noticed is that there was a sudden change. PSG preferred pushing both their fullbacks high and wide, dragging Arsenal's wingers deeper. And now when Odegaard would join Trossard in the press, PSG would already outnumber them. And if Martinelli was also drawn into the press so that Arsenal could go man to man, PSG had an answer for this. You can see here Arsenal are being drawn to press PSG, and now Vitinha and Ruiz were able to drop momentarily in the back line, playing as pseudo left back and right back, and in this position they will be able to play the ball onto the midfielders, who will shift the ball automatically to the wide wing backs, as you can see here. Now, because of this threat of having midfielders dropping into the backline and picking up positions meant for the fullbacks, it meant that PSG were now light in midfield. PSG now had the numerical superiority in build-up, but now they were outnumbered by Arsenal in midfield, especially factoring now that they had pulled a midfielder deeper. Now they decided to push their number 8 so high, and Dembele will be the one who will drop deep into that pseudo 6 role and now receive the ball directly from the centre backs unmarked. And because Dembele was doing this time and time again, Arsenal had to adapt their strategy, because now their midfield was looking quite porous and well open. Now Dembele will receive the ball in this situation, turn, and now look to carry the ball forward and try to create problems for PSG. And because of these troubling moments that Arsenal were facing, especially with both fullbacks high up, the number 8 high up, and Dembele constantly dropping in between the lines, Arsenal also had to adapt their strategy against PSG. And how did Arsenal actually do this? Now, Arsenal identified that if they went man-to-man, they will be able now to apply pressure on PSG. Because one thing about man-to-man is that now you deny your opponent any space, and especially the front players who are being tasked to go directly. And this made Donnarumma and the centre-backs go long, where Arsenal would win the ball. And I want you just to see these clips. Here, Arsenal decide to go man-to-man against the back three. The left centre back has the ball, immediately pressed, and then he decides to go long in midfield. Here again, PSG have the ball. Arsenal decide to go man to man, looking to take on all the 3 players in build-up and all the 2 players in those deeper midfield positions. Here again, Arsenal decide to go man to man, do not deny their opponent time and space. And now the Dembele question is now answered with Saliba, who is now allowed by Mikel Arteta to step out and cover Dembele. Dembele steps out to receive the ball, Saliba is behind him, Saliba wins the ball, and now Arsenal are looking to attack PSG. And that constantly kept happening, with now Saliba being asked to pick up Dembele. What about Arsenal? What did Arsenal do in possession, and once they managed to settle in possession, and how they actually look to try and dominate PSG? Now PSG were more proactive than Arsenal. In the initial phases of build-up, PSG decided to go with an aggressive man-to-man approach, not a zonal approach, ensuring that they pressed all Arsenal players with the ball. Here in this clip, you can see PSG. All players are going against Arsenal's centre-backs, full-backs, and defensive midfielders. In this case, Raya is the one who's looking to try and play the ball, but PSG are immediately looking to engage and press Arsenal. Now, because of this aggressive man-to-man press, PSG in the initial phases of the game were looking to win the ball in midfield and immediately look to transition. And they had some clear opportunities to go 2-0 up, 3-0 up in those initial stages. And Arsenal decided now to go long, where PSG would easily win the ball. But Mikel Arteta found a way to beat this PSG press. Arteta identified that PSG had gone man-to-man at the back, and he fancied one of his best players, Bukayo Saka, to receive the ball and actually get the best out of Mendes. So here, PSG have gone man-to-man, Arsenal have the ball, and Arsenal decide to play the ball back to Raya. Raya receives the ball, plays the ball onto Declan Rice. Rice in this position now has the opportunity to play the ball onto Bukayo Saka, with Julian Timber looking to push forward. And this constant going long created problems for PSG, because even when Hakimi was looking to go and press Arsenal's left back scaling, Martinelli was free, and Arsenal through Raya would just go directly, sometimes even Arsenal pushing Raya into that midfield position. Arsenal decided to even bring in Timber in that midfield position so that he could drag the right winger in field. And this allowed Arsenal to have many players in midfield and have the opportunity to play the balls, especially to their wingers, who they heavily relied upon to be the ones to actually push Arsenal forward. Here again, Arsenal have the ball. PSG want to go man to man, but Arsenal are now using the dribbling abilities of Declan Rice, who has managed to beat Dembele. And now Rice carries the ball forward. The man-to-man press is broken, and now Martinelli has a free run, especially in the left wing position. Now, one problem about the man-to-man approach is that when one player manages to beat their man, they become free, creating disorganization in the opposition's team. And that's how Arsenal managed to do it. Arsenal started to fancy carrying the ball, dribbling past their players, as well as using quick one-touch passes among themselves to beat their press. And immediately, PSG now were the ones who were in the back foot and Arsenal were in the front foot. Now, the tactical adjustments made by Mikel Arteta from minute 25 actually allowed Arsenal to gain momentum in the game. But PSG's resolute defending allowed them to seal off the game and come out with the necessary goal that is required in this semi-final tie. Arsenal are still hoping that the changes they made, especially by Mikel Arteta, will come into great credit when they go to Parc des Princes, hoping that they can now utilize the changes they made and beat this insane PSG team. What do you think? Do you agree with this analysis? Leave your comments in the comment section area below. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video. Bye.